Hello there, welcome. We're ready to start our playthrough with the Skids deck that we just threw together. Here he is down here. I've placed the Skids piece onto the study, revealed the study and populated it with 2 clues. I've set up the cards that we need. Everything's been shuffled. Let's just go around the board though, and for the sake of the video, shuffle again and draw some cards. Before we actually draw into the cards and get started in earnest, there was literally just as the last video ended, my eye caught one of the cards over here which I think I neglected to even glance over during the previous video, and I do like including it. It's this one, First Aid. A nice bit of healing that you can have as an option in your deck, just to take care of any rogue, it's a bad pun, any erroneous damage that you may have taken. It's a little slow, but it can make all the difference. Say you go into the Ghoul Priest when you can only take another 2 damage. Going into the Ghoul Priest and being able to take 3 damage can't make all the difference, really. That said, I'm not going to go around tinkering, and I mean, its worth in a Skids deck is debatable. We haven't thrown it in. I'm going to live with the choices that I made. We do have Guard Dog and Beat Cop, and assuming we can get at least one of them onto the board, they function in a similar way, soaking up some damage when we take it. Not going to grumble. Let's just see how this deck does. So let's draw some cards. What's our opening hand? We have a nice skill card with those wild icons. We have Guard Dog and Beat Cop. We have another Guard Dog, and we have Emergency Cash to get our economy started. Let's immediately get rid of at least one of the Guard Dogs, and then I want to keep one of these. I'm going to opt to keep I'm going to keep Beat Cop. We'll get rid of the 2 Guard Dogs. We will keep Emergency Cash. No, we won't keep Emergency Cash. I'm going to hope that I draw into at least one of my Emergency Cashes in the next few turns, but I am going to keep these 2 for the time being. What I am doing, I'm perhaps mulliganing a little aggressively, but I really want some cards that are going to aid us in these early few turns, trying to just grab clues as efficiently and reliably as possible. So I'm looking to find my flashlight. I'm certainly looking to find the card Hard Knocks. I definitely want that on the table by the time we get to the Ghoul Priest. Oh, let's not put them in just yet. Let's replace them first and then drop these in. What did we draw? We drew into a weapon. Excellent. Machete is fine, I guess, assuming we... Oh, actually we can choose between Machete and our automatic. And then we have Backstab, a nice card to have once we are fighting the Ghoul Priest, but again, nothing much here helps us with investigating unless I throw Unexpected Courage at it also. And I would prefer to perhaps keep Unexpected Courage for the combat, the difficult combat that we're going to enter into in Act 3. But it's certainly nice to just have in your back pocket in case of any horribleness. If we just don't see our flashlight and we need to grab one clue from the cellar, for example, we can throw this at it and cross our fingers. I mean, I was looking about, what do I want to keep? You don't get to mulligan a second time, so this is what we are keeping. Let us get started then. As a first action, I'm going to investigate the study. We have intellect of 3, shroud value of 2, so -1s or better will allow us to take the clue. That is a -3, so that is a fail. Let's carry on as we were and do that again. That is a skull icon, which, because there were no ghouls at the location, corresponds to a -0 modifier. So that is a success. Third action. Do I equip a weapon? No. Let's just carry on investigating. That's a -3 again, so that is a second failure in this first turn. There are no enemies on the board. Let's get our actions back. Let's draw a card, and let's gain another resource. Oops, daisy. It's amazing how often I do that. A little bit of weirdness there from Tabletop Simulator. Right then. So we drew into our second Unexpected Courage. Having two of them available is very nice. Let us go into the second turn and we will increment Doom and draw an encounter card. What do we have? Grasping Hands. Test Agility, difficulty 3, and for each point we fail we're going to take 1 damage. We have quite a strong agility. We're already at -1 or better would prevent us from taking damage, so anything above -1 is going to do us harm. I'm not going to... There is a case to be made perhaps at this point. We keep the machete and treat that as our weapon, and we throw the 45 perhaps at this test. It's a matter of how am I feeling about a -1 or better or a -2 or better. Because we're at 8 health on the card, I think I will keep hold of the automatic for now. Yeah, I will just do a base check against the difficulty 3 here, using my agility of 4. So -1s or better is what we want, and we have a 0. So we don't take any damage from Grasping Hands, and we can safely pop that back into the discard pile. No harm done. We're into our second lot of actions. Let's carry on as we were and search for this second clue. That, sadly, is the broken runestone tablet type icon, corresponds to a -2. It does force damage if there's a ghoul at the location. So no ghouls, but the -2 does scupper us in terms of finding this last piece of information we need in the room. We'll carry on, keep on going, keep on trucking, and really let's hope we get it this time. That is a -1. So at a -1 we are okay. We can take our clue. Question now is, do I want to spend this last action staying in the study? Maybe I could spend it equipping one of these pieces. I could draw another card, I could draw a resource, or do I want to advance into the hallway straight away? There was a comment on the Wendy video that I did. I made a beeline straight for going into the hallway at the end of a turn. It's not quite the same situation as this, as we do have another action. We could pop the act and then I could spend the action, say, moving into the attic. What the comment noted should be kept in mind is during the next Mythos phase, should an enemy spawn in the study, the act, which is a free act, the free act of advancing the act from 1 to 2 does actually discard any monsters on the card, and we don't have to deal with them, which can be really useful. And I'm not in too much of a rush because I don't feel, again, I'm not super happy with these cards going into something like the cellar. I would really like to jump into my flashlight. Having said that, of course, there's always the chance that the longer we take, the more likely it is we're going to draw into our personal weakness, our basic weakness. We have paranoia in here somewhere, so that's going to cause us to lose all our resources. With that in mind, because we have 6 resources, I think we are going to stick around just a little bit longer. We're ready to advance the act anytime we want, so let's get rid of some of these resources, let's get something on the board, and we'll see what happens in the Mythos phase. So maybe we put the pistol down, maybe we put Beat Cop down. I think we shall pay 4 resources and play the automatic as our third action. Is it 3 bullets or 4 bullets? It is 4 bullets. I have not forgotten about Skids' special ability to pay 2 resources for an extra action. I just don't necessarily want to use up all my resources at this point. I'm not rushing so much right now. What I would like to do when we do hit the Ghoul Priest, I would like to have a bucket load of resources and hard knocks in play so that I can really pump my agility tests and my strength tests, my combat tests. There's our third action. Play our pistol onto the table and give it its bullets. We are now ready to refresh. Let's draw a card. There's another machete, so we're getting all of our weapons. We're not getting our flashlight and the third resource. And we are ready for the next turn. Let's increment Doom. Let's pull an encounter. What do we have? Another Grasping Hands. Again, Revelation, Test, Agility, Difficulty 3. We will do the same thing. We're just going to take the base. Well, at this point, note the two machetes are both Strength. These are going to be nice to just throw at a combat check, for example. We'll keep it as is. Keep those machetes on hand. Maybe we'll have to discard one, which would be absolutely fine by me. So we'll make our agility test. So that is the cultist icon, which corresponds to a -1, and if we fail, we take 1 horror, I believe. Something like that. Is it 1 horror? Yes. -1 is a pass. -4, -1 takes us to 3, which is the difficulty check. So again, we managed to elude the nefarious effects of Grasping Hands, and we come away unscathed. Right then, at this point we shall spend our 2 clues, feeling perfectly safe. That's a terrible, silly thing to say in this game. And advance the act. Let's get rid of this card and bring the house down. We can place it, say, there, that's fine. And we will place Skids onto the hallway and reveal it. No clues on the hallway. Has a shroud value of 1. If we can draw into our burglary card, this is a nice place just to ransack and, air quotes, acquire, steal many items for a nice tick over on our resource pool. So, first action. We don't have our flashlight, so I don't feel super comfortable going into the cellar just yet. So let's head into the attic. First action. We shall move into the attic. We take some force damage here. 1 horror. As a second action, we shall investigate. Let's put the clues on first. We have drawn Cultist again. Did I shuffle? I'm not 100% sure I shuffled between the last one and this one. So I will, even though that's a pass, because I'm not 100% sure I gave this a shake, we'll draw that again. So ignore that Cultist that came out. And as luck would have it, my pass turns into a fail. So that is a fail. Second action, we will investigate the clue again. Let's make sure we give the bag a shuffle. Every single time. And again, oh no, that is fine actually. That is investigate of 3. -2 takes us to the shroud value of 1, so yeah, -2 or better we needed there. That is a pass. We have grabbed one of these clues. No enemies on the board still. I wonder where they all are. Let's get our actions back, draw another card. We've drawn into emergency cash. We're approaching our hand limit of 8. Let's get our resource and move into the new Mythos Phase. We increment agenda and note that it matches the current value on the card. We flip this and we must choose between discarding 1 card at random or taking 2 horror. I am not going to drop horror on Skids with his value of 6, so we're just going to discard one of these cards. How many have we got here? 7. So let's grab an 8-sided die and give it a shake. That is number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have lost one of our machetes. Right then. Just to note, the second agenda has a value of 7. So we can reset Doom and start counting again. We draw in Encounter card. Oh no, don't be... Oh, phew. Okay, that's not super great, but it's also not terrible. I was worried that was the Frozen in Fear card, which is... I never want to see that. I dislike that card so much. This is Dissonant Voices, which stops us from playing assets and event cards. We can still commit them to skill checks, should we wish, but we cannot play them for their resource cost and put them into our area over here. We couldn't play Emergency Cash, for example, even though it has 0 cost. So let's put this in the threat area rather, just to keep as a reminder. And we have our actions. We'll just carry on investigating for this clue. -1 is a success. So let's grab this last clue. Second action, let's move from the hallway, from the attic rather, back into the hallway. And as a third action, let's... Do I want to put Beat Cop into play now? No. No, I don't. As a third action, we're going to move into the cellar. Put 2 clues on there. And take the forced damage from our health this time. There we are. So that was our turn. We can get rid of Dissonant Voices now. Oh no, I suppose there are instances where you might play an event later on in the turn. So we'll get rid of this during the end of the round, as it says on the card. let's play this card as the rules dictate, shall we? That seems like a good idea. Again, still the enemies are remaining quiet. We'll draw into another card. Ah, Hard Knocks, fantastic. I would like to get some economy going, so I am looking to play my emergency caches. Burglary would be nice to pull into, but if we don't see it, then we do not see it. It's unlikely you're going to see all the cards in the deck. It's one of the advantages of this custom deck building. Putting 2 of them in there doubles those chances of seeing those important cards you want. There's nothing else that we needed. We drew the card and we want 1 more resource. Now it is the end of the round. We can get rid of this and go into the next turn. Let's increment Doom and draw a card. That looks like an enemy. It is Swarm of Rats. Only 1 health, 1 combat, so not difficult to defeat, and it is a hunter, so if we were to evade it and move 1 space, it would move and engage us the next turn, assuming it could reach us. We'll probably just spend an action fighting this, and we probably won't even spend a bullet. It should be fine, I say, without the benefit of hindsight. Let's do that, shall we? There was a swarm of rats in the cellar with us, which is thematic and appropriate. And we will just use our base combat value of 3 to throw that at the swarm of rats with a combat value of 1. So -2 or better is good for us. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And there is a -2. So a bad token, but it's enough to defeat this weak enemy. Second action. Still don't have our flashlight, do we? Second action, let's play Emergency Cache and get 1, 2, 3 resources. Third action, let's play our Beat Cop and pay 4 resources for it. That seems like an okay thing to do. Preparing for the Ghoul Priest, taking this lull in our ability to reliably take on the cellar and just take that time to... The aim here is both to get things on the board so that we're not getting attack of opportunities, should we wish to play them later, and also just fail-safing a little bit against drawing into paranoia. We don't want to have 12 resources here and draw paranoia and lose them all. We do want to spend them. Yeah, we're ready. No more enemies on the board, we got rid of the rats. Let's get our actions back, let's draw another card. We have our second emergency cache. That's a nice one to see. With Hard Knocks, we can play Hard Knocks, play emergency cache. Again, hope we don't draw into paranoia, and we're in a position to pump our combat and agility checks against the Ghoul Priest, just to avoid his retaliate attacks, which are brutal. Did we draw? No, we did not. We need to get our resource. Okay, we're now set up to go into the next turn. So increment Doom and draw a card. Crypt Chill. Test willpower 4. Oh, this is bad. It's not the end of the world, but it's yeah, this is pretty bad. If you fail, choose and discard one asset you control. If you cannot, then you take 2 damage instead. So we have to get rid of an asset. Both of these assets are A, costly, and B, kind of important for me going into the Ghoul Priest encounter. I really would not like to fail this, but we are testing willpower. I have a willpower of 2. I mean, this is something which we could... What's more important is going into the Ghoul Priest fight with this equipped. I think perhaps I should be throwing these at this test. But then you can only commit 1 maximum, so let's just see what that would actually do to our chances. Currently we need +1 to pass this test. No, we need +2. So using base values to defeat a difficulty 4 with our 2 willpower, we need +2 modifier, and there is no +2 modifier in here. So there's only 1 token in here that would help us, which is the Elder Sign, which for Skids specifically does give +2. So there's a 1 in 16 chance of passing this. If we were to commit just one of these, that makes it 0s or better. There are 6 tokens that currently correspond to 0, including the 2 skull icons. That comes to around about 40% chance, so it is still less than 50-50, and we get rid of one of these important cards, but it's so important. I think it's worth throwing one of these. It might be a waste, but I think we have to. Do we have anything else that gives us... No, we do not. Now, you'll note it is max 1 committed per skill test, so we can't throw both of these at the test. I think we do. We're going to commit this and go evens on the difficulty. We have willpower 4. We have a difficulty 4, so we are really hoping for a 0 or better. Let's see how we fare. That's a -1. That's a shame. Right then. Let's put this back in there. So we lost our unexpected courage for no gain, and we have to decide between losing Beat Cop and the weapon. I think because we have a machete in hand, it makes more sense perhaps to discard the automatic, as sad as I am to do so. We got no use out of it. Those, so what's the theme here? Crypt Chill. We just get very cold and we drop our weapon on the floor, and it's dark in the cellar and we can't find it. It has mysteriously disappeared. So that was pretty brutal, I would say. For all the nice prep that we were doing, a lot of it was for naught. We spent an action and 4 resources, and that's gone, plus a really nice skill card. So yeah, that card gobbled up some of our nice bits. Oh well. Let's go into our action phase. What shall we do? Still haven't got our flashlight. At this point we're in a position where do we just throw unexpected courage at the check? But even then that would... We have intellect 3. we can reduce that, improve that to 5 versus the shroud value of 4. So we would be spending this for a -1 or better check. No, I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to slow it down just a tad. First action, we will spend 3 resources and equip our machete. Second action, we are going to equip Hard Knocks. We are now broke. We have no resources left. So do we spend emergency cash now for no necessary gain? We could obviously use our extra our special ability to take an extra turn. I think at this point I'm going to just hope that I draw into Paranoia and leave this blank. So Paranoia will do no ill toward us, and we will spend our third action. Now might be a nice time to just draw a card. Yeah, I think we'll do that. We're going to draw 1 extra card as a third action. There we have evidence. So that's a card that we can commit to this shroud value. If we don't draw into something nice, perhaps we spend the next turn throwing both Unexpected Courage and Evidence to give us a really good chance of getting this last clue that we need. Or we draw maybe another swarm of rats and we can just defeat the rats and play this and get the clue that way. So that's our situation right now. Let's get our actions back. Let's draw another card. And let us grab a resource. We drew Sneak Attack. So between Sneak Attack and Backstab, we are actually in a decent-ish position, especially with Beat Cop available, to take down the Ghoul Priest. I'm feeling much better here. What I would like is a nice chunk of resources so that I can guarantee my evasion attempts, perhaps, using Hard Knocks. Yeah, this isn't such a bad situation. I must stop saying that because we have another draw from here coming very shortly. Let's bump up Doom, speaking of, and draw a card. That looks like an enemy. It is just a regular ghoul. Okay. Versus a regular ghoul with the machete, I'm probably happy to just fight that rather than leave it as a potential issue later on, and it obviously impacts on a bunch of these. The skull icon is affected, the broken tablet icon is affected. Rather than evade this, which is Skids' speciality, I am equipped enough that I can probably just fight this and get rid of it. We still haven't seen our flashlight, so at this point I'm thinking maybe we just... Oh, no! Silly me. I said it like 2 minutes ago. Assuming we defeat the enemy, we can get a clue for free using evidence. And we do have the 1 resource to pay for it. Right then, so first action, let us fight using our machete. We get +1 combat for this attack. And if it's the only enemy engaged with me, which this is, the attack will deal +1 damage, which is enough to defeat it at 2 health. So it has a combat value of 2. I have a modified combat value of 4. So -2s or better, please. That is a -1. We have a defeated ghoul. We will play Evidence. Does not cost an action because it's fast. It does cost 1. Pay our resource and discover 1 clue at our location. We're now in a position where, for victory points, we could farm up the victory point here, stick around the cellar, try to get this 4th and final clue, or we could just head on out and go pop the Ghoul Priest. So, as our second action, what do we choose to do? What is our situation here? Let's say we pop the Ghoul Priest this turn. Can we defeat it? Hard Knocks is... We'll have 1 resource from the turn ticking over. And assuming we can't kill it in 1 turn, we'll be able to apply 2 +1s. We haven't used Skids' special ability once, sadly. But But we do have backstab and sneak attack. We haven't taken much in the way of damage, so we can tank some damage from the Ghoul Priest. We have this that we can throw at one of our tests, and we can get some resources from emergency cash. I think we do it. Or maybe I just endure one more encounter card. Well, actually no, because as soon as you pop the Ghoul Priest, you have to then encounter a card. So do I want to take 2 hits from the deck, or do I want to take 1 hit from the deck? I think we're going to play it... not reckless, that's the wrong word. We're going to indulge in some affirmative action. We are going to play emergency cash, gain 3 resources. And we are going to move into the hallway. There are no enemies on the board. During the end of a round, we're going to get our actions back, draw into another card. We get our second hard knocks, which at this point is simply icons for committing to skill checks. And we gain 1 more resource. 4 resources is a nice amount to go into, actually. And at this point, we are going to spend our clues and advance the act. We're going to bring Lita Chandler into play in the parlour, and we're going to spawn the Ghoul Priest in the hallway. Obviously, because I'm in the hallway, the Ghoul Priest is going to jump on top of me. So here's the Ghoul Priest in my threat area. Here is Lita Chandler in the newly revealed parlour. And we're ready to head into the next turn, the all-important Act 3 turn. Let's kick things off with the Mythos Phase and a draw from the encounter deck. It's another enemy. Not what I wanted to see. Ideally, this is a ghoul that you spend your time evading. It actually does a lot of horror damage. 1 physical, 2 mental damage. Easy to evade, but I'm loath to be spending actions evading this. Oh! Whew! I am doing the thing where you wipe your forehead. I just noticed, and I should know, because it's not like I've not seen this before. It does spawn in the attic. That's splendid, actually. We don't have to worry about this at all until this ticks over to the next agenda. So we know there is a monster in the attic, and we do not need to concern ourselves with them. By the time this wakes up and starts moving toward the parlour, we will, one way or another, hopefully have dealt with the Ghoul Priest. So yeah, a monster that spawns in either the attic or the cellar is actually perfect for us. As perfect as you can expect from something as ugly as this encounter deck. So then, let's fight ourselves a Ghoul Priest. What do we do first? First thing we do is evade it, I would imagine. That seems to make the most sense. So it has the retaliate keyword, which means that if we fail a skill check against it, we're going to take an attack. It's going to do 2 damage to us and 2 sanity, 2 horror. We're doing okay here. On 5 sanity, with 5 sanity points left, we can take 2 hits from this, which is pretty good. And if we should take any extra sanity, we can drop a single point onto Beat Cop. So we can definitely tank a few hits. We can make a few failures here. As things stand, we're in a good spot. If we draw another enemy here, things could go south very quickly, but let's ride this wave while we can. As a first action, we will attempt to evade the Ghoul Priest, and I am going to throw Unexpected Courage at it. And well, let's see the numbers. Do I want to... We have, just with the Unexpected Courage, we have an evasion of 6, modified versus difficulty 4, so that's -2 or better. Do I want to commit hard knocks and make that -3 or better? I really want this evasion to work. Well, what I could do... We do have hard knocks, so we have opportunities to bump things. Yeah, I am going to not mess around. We're going to go all in. I'm going to spend Unexpected Courage and hard knocks to get a +3 modifier to my agility, giving me an agility of 7 versus difficulty 4. So -3 or better, and this gets evaded. That's a -1. So we went overkill, but you can't look at that and go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's just playing the numbers between, let's say, I don't know the exact, it'll probably be around 75% and 80-something%. Anyway, we passed. The Ghoul Priest is exhausted, and we pop it back up here so that we know it won't be doing anything during the enemy phase. As a second action, we will play, which one is it? Sneak Attack. We will play Sneak Attack and deal 2 damage to the Ghoul Priest. And then, as a third action, can you see the numbers here? We would have to pay 3 to play Backstab. It will use Agility instead of Combat, but it will do enough damage to defeat the Ghoul Priest. We can, after paying the cost, we can use Hard Knocks to give ourselves an agility of 5 modified versus difficulty, a combat value rather of 4. So that play, we would use all our resources, we would use our last card, our last action, and we would be going for victory on a -1 or better. I think we do it. We're in a decent spot. We do have our machete, we do have our beat cop, so we have a backup plan at least, but let's go all in. Let's spend 3 resources. Play Backstab. We're going to spend a resource and Hard Knocks to modify our agility up to 5. And assuming this is successful, it will do 3 damage, which is enough to defeat the Ghoul Priest. So let's pull a token. Let's give the bag a nice shake. It's a -2. Well, there we go. If we had one more resource on deck, we could have Hard Knocked, but we did not. So that's a failure. It does not get its retaliate attack because it's exhausted. So that's the situation here. We have enemies on the board. The Ghoul Priest is just going to sit there and chill. The Flesh Eater is just going to sit there and chill. The Ghoul Priest isn't going to do anything. In the cleanup phase, we get our actions back. We draw a card. And we... Hello there. It does cost 2. However, we might be able to... I think we're okay. We need to get one more resource. What I'm looking at here... Well, let's finish off the end of the phase and I'll say what I was looking at. So we clean up here. The Ghoul Priest comes back, wakes back up, and it immediately enters our threat area again with its damage. So what I'm thinking of here, normally you would want to avoid attacks of opportunity, etc. However, if I... Oh no, I don't have to... I was thinking of Guard Dog, where if you take damage, you can take the damage from the Guard Dog and put that on the Ghoul Priest. I don't have to do that. As a simple free action as a discard, I have 1 damage here. So I only have to do 2 damage against the Ghoul Priest, because Beat Cop here is essentially a free 1 damage that I can apply at any point. I wonder... I think I may have made a mistake earlier where I did a combat check and I didn't apply my +1 combat here. That happened, at least against the regular ghoul. I'm pretty sure that happened. That wouldn't get applied to the backstab that we just did because we were making an agility rather than combat value test. So, we're ready for the next turn. We need to increment Doom. What I don't want here is something like the one that doesn't allow you to play events necessarily, although we could just fight it. Evade and fight with our machete. Let's not get an enemy because we don't want our machete's +1 damage to disappear. Let's draw what we have and see. Ooh. Ooh, gosh. Revelation test. So it's the willpower test again, and we're going to have to discard an asset. What are we going to get rid of? At this point, perhaps we just get rid of Hard Knocks. Beat Cop plus Machete is just super valuable as a combination because it gives us the magical 3 damage that we need versus the Ghoul Priest. However, assuming we exhaust, we can go for the evasion, in fact. No, because we don't have the resources to actually do that just yet. I wonder what's going to be what's the optimal play here. The thing with Hard Knocks, the reason I like it is because the Ghoul Priest has these 4s at the top there, and they just make for difficult checks. Just straight up difficult checks. Relying on 0s or better is no way to proceed. You want to be getting that up to -1 for the most part, or better. I'm tempted perhaps to just get rid of the machete. No. Yes. What is more likely here? Let's say first action we either fight the Ghoul Priest or we evade the Ghoul Priest. If we evade the Ghoul Priest, we're then in a position where we can spend an action to get a resource and play sneak attack for a win. So that works out. So that would be a agility test versus difficulty 4. So it would be 4 versus 4. So we'd be looking for 0s or better to successfully do the evasion check. If we were to do the fight option, we have +1 combat here. It would be combat 4 modified. No, it would be combat 5 modified because we get +1 from Beat Cop and +1 from Machete. 5 versus 4, so that at that point we're at -1. We do 2 damage from... Yeah, so I think that is the correct play. We do not want to get rid of Machete or Beat Cop. Fighting here gives us a better chance than the evasion option, coupled with sneak attack. So let's discard Hard Knocks in that case. Oh, we haven't even done our test. I mean, we're going to fail. We are going to fail, but we'll make the test anyway. Maybe we'll draw into our Elder Sign. Nope, it's a +1. It's a good try. Yeah, I'd automatically assume that we were going to fail there. So yes, we did fail the Crypt Chill, and we have to get rid of Hard Knocks. And then we are fighting our Ghoul Priest. So what did we decide to do? The best option here is to go for a couple of fight options. So we're going to do a straight up fight with modified combat value of 5, 3 base, +1 from here, +1 from here. Difficulty of 4, we want -1 or better. There is the -1. So let's just go through this nice and calmly. That is a success. We do +1 damage from the machete. Stop that. Stop messing up my moment. We do ooh, deep breaths, deep breaths. We've done 4 damage there. And at this point, just as a free action before we even use our second action, we can just discard this card. As a discard Beat Cop, deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. And there's 5 damage for the win. The Ghoul Priest is no more. And we accomplish our objective for Act 3. So, Skids was victorious there. It didn't get close so much towards the end. We did quite well at avoiding little pings of damage all along the way. We definitely could have taken some hits against the Ghoul Priest. But yeah, that worked out okay. For what I would argue was not a very optimal Skids deck. There's probably definitely something to be said, in fact, not probably. I think there's definitely something to be said of Skids' strengths are things like agility. He has a weakness in willpower, so cards like... You want to at least be considering throwing in these 1 or 2, maybe just the 1, just so when you need to make that evasion check, you have this on lock. And then arguably Guts. I mean, I'm undecided, but I throw Guts in a lot of my decks because as unimportant most of the time as willpower can be, the skill, the statistic willpower, having just a bad willpower in general and very little in your deck that can improve it can be a nightmare. Those 2 Crypt Chills that came through really nearly scuppered us. As it happens, we survived, we came through, we would flip the act and decide whether we want to burn our house down, etc, etc. So we ended with 2 victory points from the Ghoul Priest, 1 victory point from the cleared out attic. 3 victory points in hand. We would be friends with Lita, we'd have met her, and we'd have chosen whether the house burned. So a nice start to scenario 2. Well done, Skids. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and join me next time when we will look into a Daisy deck and then take that for a spin. Thank you again, and bye bye.